A few months ago, I watched a pastor walk out of his own meeting. I'm there in the conference room with him and three of his other church leaders, and I'm there to talk about strategies to help him and his church grow his music ministry. And about 10 minutes into that meeting, I noticed that he was kind of zoned out. His eyes were glazed over a little bit, and he was just kind of looking past me and wasn't even really paying attention to what I was saying. And then he just got up and walked out. The meeting ends and he asked me to come to his office. And I go to his office and sit down, and I'm thinking that he's about to explain why he walked out, and, I'm going to just be there for a couple of minutes or whatever. But that turned into a 2.5-hour conversation of him explaining to me all of the problems that he's been dealing with at the church and all of this kind of stuff. But the one thing that he said that stuck out to me, he said, "I'm questioning whether or not I even want to do this anymore." So church musicians, if the man who signs off on your budget and your check week after week is thinking about walking away, you need to understand what that means for you, because this is not the first time I've seen this happen. It's a pattern now. I've been a church musician for over 35 years now. I've directed choirs, I've led teams, I've been on executive boards, and I've been in meetings where budget decisions happen for musicians and the church. And this is the first time in 35 years that I am watching the fall off happen in real time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you 3 cracks in the foundation of the church you're playing for right now. Then I'm going to give you 3 exits. And the third exit is the one that most musicians your age assume they're too old for. But they're absolutely wrong. And I got the receipts. And this isn't me guessing. For the first time in 80 years, less than half of all Americans hold a membership at a house of worship. It was 70% in 1999. Now it's under 50%. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every church out there is going to disappear within the next 5 years. That's not what the data says. But here's what the data does say. Your church may not be able to afford you in the next 5 years. And that is a much more immediate problem for you than whether or not the building is still standing. So crack number 1 is what I call the trust collapse. So I recently met a musician through a mutual friend of ours, and we sat down and had a conversation. Of course, we were talking about church and church music and all of that. And in that conversation, he tells me that he just retired from being a church musician at the end of last year. And of course, that piqued my interest. So I immediately asked him why. And he says this. He says, "It was because I just don't trust them anymore." 25 years of being told the check was coming, 25 years of it not coming, or it coming up short, or it coming with some story attached to it. And he finally just stopped. And that's not just one person. I literally hear stories like this every week. But here's the part that matters even more. The people in the pews are losing trust too. Every few weeks, there's another headline of a pastor being caught doing some heinous thing, stealing money or whatever. Every few weeks, there's another investigation of a church leader or a church pastor doing these things. And people have lost trust in the institution of church. And the thing is, whether or not it's your church, it's your church's reputation. People don't distinguish between churches. They distinguish between church and everything else. And it's funny because when trust drops, the giving drops. And when the giving drops, somebody at the church opens up the budget and starts asking questions about what can we live without? And I got to tell you, they're not canceling the mortgage. They're not going to turn off the lights. They're not going to cut the pastor's salary. They're going to go to the budget line item in that list that is the easiest to get rid of and the easiest to justify: the musicians. Now, crack number 2 is the last generation is leaving. So there was this old lady at the church that I play for now that without fail, every Sunday when I got to church and I would walk through the door, she would find me and tell me how thankful she was that I was the musician at the church. And some Sundays she would even try to give me money. And I would refuse and I say, no, ma'am, I don't need to take that. Thank you so much. And her little frail hand would grab my arm and say, no, you take this. And I would just have to take it and say, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. That lady passed away a few years ago. That woman and her generation are the financial and institutional backbone of the traditional church. Not part of it, the backbone of it. They give the most consistently, and they're there every time the doors of the church are open. And they're leaving, not because they want to, but because of age, because of health, because of time. Meanwhile, the generation that would have replaced them are not walking in. So watch this, because this is your early warning sign. You are soon going to start hearing more and more sermons about tithing and more talk about giving and more announcements about giving to the building fund. And this is not some spiritual shift. This is a cash flow problem showing up in the pulpit. And it shows up in the pulpit about 12 to 18 months before it shows up in the budget. And you already know where the conversation about budget starts, with the musicians. Now, crack number 3 is a really serious one. And that is that the shepherd is tired. So let me finish that story from crack number 1, where I sat down in the pastor's office for 2.5 hours. That pastor wasn't having a crisis over doctrine. He was just tired. He was fighting with his deacons. The offering at the church wasn't covering what it used to cover. And he hadn't had a week off in years. And everybody in that building assumed that he was fine because that's the job. And then he says those words, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And like I said, this wasn't the first time. This is becoming common enough now that I can recognize it on people's face and on preachers' faces before they even say it out loud. And here's why this matters to you. 3 things have always held up the traditional church: trust from the people, a giving generation, and a pastor or leader who is all in. Crack number 1 took the trust. Crack number 2 is taking the generation. And now crack number 3, the one that nobody sees, is causing the pastor or leader to quietly reconsider his job. All 3 of these at once. Let me say that again. All 3 of these at once. And I want to be really careful here because I'm not putting this on pastors. Many of them just inherited a structure from a different era that they didn't even get a vote on. That's not villainy. That's a load that nobody can hold forever. But you're the musician. You're not the foundation. You're on the top floor of the building. And when the building collapses, the top floor doesn't get a warning. So let's talk about the exits for you as a musician. There's 3 of them, and I'm putting them in order of how fast you can start, not how much they pay. Because the third one I'm going to mention is the one that pays the most, takes a little bit longer to start, and it's the one that you're most likely going to talk yourself out of before this video ends. Exit number 1 paid gig outside the church walls. Get at least 1 paid gig outside the church in the next 30 days. Now, I'm not sending you to some bar or club. If that's not for you, that's fine. That's not where the real money is anyway. The real money is in corporate gigs, wedding receptions, private parties, restaurants, hotels, even retirement homes and communities. That's a real market out there, and it's thriving right now. And get this, it's almost entirely word of mouth. So that means the only thing that's standing between you and that is a text message. Just last month, I went to my hometown to hear my mentor play a restaurant gig. He's 85 years old and he plays this gig twice a week and makes $500 a week at this restaurant and only plays a couple of hours. And he's 85. So here's the specific thing to do tonight. Pick 3 musicians you know who work outside the church and text them and say this: hey, I'm picking up some gigs this year, so if you ever need a sub or a second player, I'm available and I'm reliable. That's the whole game. And notice the word that does all of the work here: reliable, not talented. Because trust me, all 3 of those musicians you will text have had somebody who is talented burn them this past year. And guess what? If nobody calls, you've lost a text message. That is the cheapest risk you will ever take in your music career. Exit number 2, start charging for tracks. Look at what your own church is doing right now. Running tracks, stems, clicks. Somebody is responsible for making those tracks and getting paid for them. Why isn't it you? And it's not just churches. I get messages every week asking, hey, T, you know somebody that plays bass? I need a bass line on this song. Same thing with keys, drums, and guitar and vocals. The demand out there is constant, and it does not care where you live or how old you are. And the thing is, the setup for this is almost nothing now. You already have a computer or a laptop. All you need is an audio interface, a microphone, some cables, and some headphones, and the software is free. So you could be recording by this weekend. Just charge per song, not per hour, and get half the money up front. That's not you being difficult. That's just you being a business. And if somebody won't pay you the first half up front, they probably weren't going to pay you the second half either. So I wouldn't even worry about working with them. But I'll tell you how to get the gear list for this setup in a minute. Now, exit number 3, the one with the most leverage, with the most upside, and the one that you're probably going to argue with me the most about. And that is start a YouTube channel. Within the last year, I've helped 3 musicians start YouTube channels. One of them has surpassed my success on YouTube, which is crazy, by the way. And he's getting ready to quit his day job to go full time on YouTube because now he's almost making the same amount of money from YouTube that he makes at his day job from doing 1 video a week. Now, I'm not selling you a fantasy because for every one of him, there's 25, 50 other ones that don't make it and just quit and give up. And I don't want you to start a YouTube channel and quit in month 3 thinking I lied to you about something. But flip the question. Forget about being rich. What if in 6 months you could be making the same money that your church is paying you right now, if anything, just by starting a YouTube channel? No rehearsals, no meetings, no dealing with people, no people deciding what your worth is in a room that you're not even standing in. And I know what some of you are thinking, because I see this in my comments week after week. What do I have to offer? I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. I'm in my 60s. Let me tell you something. On YouTube, your age is not the obstacle. Your age is the product. Hear me when I tell you, people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are absolutely crushing it on YouTube right now. And it's not in spite of their experience. It's because of it. Nobody wants to learn church music from somebody who's only been doing it for 4 years. 15, 20, 30 years behind an instrument is not a liability here on YouTube. It's the most valuable thing you own. The only thing you don't have is a strategy for it. That's the whole gap. So I'm putting together a YouTube cohort built specifically for church musicians like you, not for content creators, not for kids, but for church musicians who want to build something that pays them without having to have someone's permission. The waiting list for this is in the description for this video. And when you get on it, I'm going to send you that YouTube setup gear list that I mentioned from Crack 2. So one link, both things are going to be there. So let me ask you a question. 35 years from now, what do you want to have been? The dedicated church musician who was always there? Or the musician who actually built something that outlived the walls of the church? Because here's what I know about the people watching this. You have a skill that took decades to build. You have knowledge that people are actively searching for tonight. And most of you have been running on one source of income for years with no leverage and calling it faithfulness. Faithfulness is showing up. Dependency is a different thing. You have the power, the authority, and the permission to fix this for yourself. Time is not out yet, but it is running short. I'll see you in the next video.